Welcome back onto theCUBE. Here in our New York Stock Exchange studio, I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. This is part of our NYSE Wired program, a CUBE original, also an open network here featuring the Agent Conference preview, Simon Chan's event that evolved from a meetup, community meetup, to a full-blown industry conference where the builders, investors are all gathering, ushering in the wave of agents. And this is part of our Mixture of Experts series. Trey Holterman, co-founder and CEO of Tennr. Trey, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
John, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
We were chatting, you're from the Bay Area, we came to New York, the tech scene in New York's booming. This event, Agent Conference that Simon's putting on, I'm super impressed. One, he's doing a great job marketing it, so I got to love the images he's putting out there. But it really speaks to the community of builders. It's a pretty small community right now in terms of hardcore agentic infrastructure. What's your reaction to that? New York's obviously a big scene here as well as the Bay Area.
I mean, I think we were told, look, if you move to New York, you're going to have all these different sacrifices we're going to have to make, but we knew at that time, we were software engineers when we started the business. We knew that every software engineer that was sort of in our cohort that was on the forefront of this technology wanted to be out here. So we really had no problem getting the builders that we wanted to move out from SF to New York. Frankly, that's still probably more than half of the R&D team that we're hiring is folks that want to be in New York City.
You know, I just came in from the Palo Alto here with that studio, bringing kind of the Silicon Valley vibe. I got to tell you, one of the things I see of entrepreneurs here is that they love New York. It's this great city. The tribe is here. It's been a migration. There's a total tech scene here. There's no debate about that. But the comments I hear are like, I just take 2 subway stops and I got 20 customers within walking distance. I mean, the customer base is here too. I mean, Silicon Valley, they sell to each other, you get the tech companies, early adopters, but here, there's a huge enterprise
I wish it was 2 stops on the subway for me. I'm in every state of America all the time, but that's
it's a target-rich environment in New York.
Totally. I mean, there's definitely, big fertility customer base in New York City, so there definitely are providers out here.
All right, well, let's get into what you're working on. You guys got a growing business. Talk about the company, where you guys are at, what you guys do. Obviously, AI in care is huge. You guys are solving a specific problem.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we are responsible for getting patients from point A to point B, where point B is specialty referrals and therapies. So it turns out 1 in 3 patients in the US healthcare system are going to receive a referral. They need to go to a specialist or they need to get onto a therapy. The paperwork, the back and forth, and the payer hurdles that come with that process create an insane amount of administrative work, of ping-ponging between patients and providers. We're one platform that streamlines all of that into a very smooth and elegant journey for the patients.
Well, I mean, first of all, the pain point everyone has been through, they've lived through it. One, the time, you got to get in, get the referral. The back office is crazy, you just laid that out. But just to the experience for the person.
Totally, I think it would. It looks more like putting together a legal case or going through a small legal case just to go and get specialty services that patients need, and so it's no surprise that just like this agentic software is taking off in legal. I think we're seeing the same sort of ROI in healthcare because it's really unstructured, really messy, and just tons of really laborious work.
You mentioned legal. I mean, Harvey's doing an amazing job. You look at that, companies like Harvey, they come in and nailing the verticals. Talk about who you guys sell to, because AI really plays well in these domain-specific workflows. Yeah,
I mean, we work with and sell to some of the largest health systems in the country, and also just some of the largest independent providers in the country. I mean, if you're getting a device, a drug, a diagnostic, or if you're going to see specialists in orthopedics, in fertility, gastroenterology, you name it, whether it's through a large health system that we all know the names of, or independent providers, those are the folks that we're working with. They're trying to get their patients, in the door and seeing their clinicians. It's just so much work they have to deal with, such a pain in the butt.
So, but people don't know how the healthcare structure is. Who's the customer for you?
Our customer is the provider. We sell a software platform to the provider that has either wait lists of backlogs or endless referral backlogs they're trying to get through. We help them get through and get to.
And name a couple of providers for reference.
So take like a Rothman Orthopedics, a major orthopedic provider. Take like, and then on the other side, take an Adapt Health, a large device provider. These are some of the largest providers. Folks don't necessarily always know about them, but they are, if you are getting a surgery or you're getting on a CPAP, you are probably working with one of those providers.
Okay, now take through the AI agent solution here. What did you attack first? What was your thesis, and what did you go after?
I mean, we basically looked at it and we said, it literally looks like the provider is going through a legal process where they are responsible for the burden of proof to justify why the patient needs the treatment, the therapy, or the surgery, or whatever it is. And our belief was, if you can take payer guidelines, medical records, and what that patient was meant to, where that patient's meant to go, and you can build a system that makes that work so freaking fast that patients can find out in real time. By the time they're in the parking lot, they're getting called and they're getting told that they have a clear path to treatment. That was the sell to providers, and we've just grown from there.
Give us some feel for the momentum, customer base, growth, what's happening?
We've grown to a few hundred customers over the last couple of years. We actually started the business in 2021, and a lot of our growth, we were just engineers, so we didn't really know how to commercialize ourselves until the last couple of years, and have really taken off since. One of the fastest growing companies in the Andreessen portfolio, and having fun.
What's been some of the reaction? Because the fact that you can get a referral in the car as you're walking to your car, I mean, it's almost mind-blowing, magical. What's been the reaction? Because that's unheard of.
Well, I think people have these grand ideas about how you're going to fix healthcare with this one symbol overlay that solves everything at once. Our view is if you can solve it for that one patient journey of that patient that's getting discharged from the hospital and needs to now get imaging and needs to go see an orthopedic consult, if you can just make that patient's journey feel incredibly tight, like a great consumer experience where they know that what their next appointment is, they know what it's going to cost, they know that they have everything, all the records that the provider needs to make sure they don't stick the patient with a bill or taken care of, that's what we think is fixing the healthcare system. It's just creating an incredible consumer experience for patients. And that experience is happening all over the country right now. And it's because of this technology. We're doing a couple of percentage points of all US patient visits, and we think we're going to be double digits in the not so distant future.
It's awesome. And the thing about the time acceleration is interesting because AI is changing what gets done time-wise. Sometimes 6 months to 6 hours, 6 years to 6 months. I mean, it's providing capabilities that were unfathomed prior.
And you got to understand the infrastructure of this is usually a 300-page fax packet that has 20 different patients on it, and that's what the administrators have to deal with today. And I had the CTO of Adapt, I was just hanging out with him, and he was like, Trey, can't believe it. Right now we're going through and we're contacting all 25 patients sub 4 minutes on average. So they're turning around these things that used to take literally weeks because you would be missing documentation, be back and forth, and it's just a 4-minute experience. So the patient's in the parking lot, getting a phone call, and knows they're on their way.
I love that you guys solve a specific problem, get into the market. I'm sure you guys sequencing to broader opportunities. What's some of those things that you guys are seeing now that you're in the adoption cycle and you're getting beachhead? I
mean, people hate to hear this, but we are so insanely problem obsessed. We need to solve this problem before we try to do a bunch of crazy other things. Everybody wants to be, a this and a little bit of that. No. Somebody's got to be maniacally focused on getting patients from point A to point B, doing it effectively, making sure patients know what it's going to cost. And we think that more than half of healthcare isn't happening today because patients are falling into this referral black hole. And so we just think everybody's grossly underestimated this market.
So you've got a lot more work to do in your minds.
We've got a massive amount of work to do. And if we do a great job and we get the job done, we'll go do something else. But I think we got to solve this problem. There's a lot of room to go.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. I mean, until that's over and then you move on to the next thing, you'll have that beachhead. All right, talk about the agent pieces. I'm fascinated about how you're thinking about agents because everyone's trying to figure out agents. Obviously, healthcare has a lot of identity, privacy involved in governance. Is that a factor in all, or how do you guys think about how you're deploying agents?
Yeah, I think the way that folks think about agents and talk about agents is often based on creative or sort of generative, productive work. A lot of what we do and what we think about is really more like factory line work. And what we think of is when you set up this factory line of how to process patients effectively, it should look like a tight supply chain operation. And we're looking at the agents' really reasoning models and the different models that we're using at different points in times as machinery that operates on that factory line to accelerate the factory line. And we've been just astounded at how much more quickly we're able to build integrations into EMRs, this technology, how much we're able to add payer guidelines, expand into specialties. It's our development cycles accelerated dramatically. So across the board, but fundamentally, we have this assembly line imagery, and it's just been allowed us to basically build better and better machinery on top of our assembly line.
So you feel confident in the agents that you guys are deploying because you've nailed down essentially the workflow?
Yeah, 100%. And yes.
Is that the case?
Well, the reality is you've got the models, you've got the integrations, and you've got the edge cases, and everything in healthcare is an edge case. So how you handle that and the nuances around that, you really want to be on structured rails. You want to have the productized those differences of what happens when actually the patient already received an order to the exact same referring provider. That shouldn't be a probabilistic determination from an agent. That's structured rules that we can manage.
What about some of the non-deterministic use cases? Do they exist for you right now, or is that more
The biggest one that really is ready, I mean, you have to also imagine, right, that we're at the forefront, but also, when you're talking about walking a patient through a life-saving treatment, you do not want to be at the forefront of the forefront. And we've finally seen conversational intelligence, voice AI, get to a place that we're really comfortable to plug it into all of our workflows. And so when I talk about that experience where we're getting that patient a phone call within 4 minutes of walking to that parking lot, now, that is a Tennr voice AI phone call being made, connecting with the patient, and the conversations there have just been incredible. We feel like that's commoditized and really, really been able to accelerate our product.
It's getting hardened, and there's some bleeding edge, as they say. I have to ask you, Trey, since you're an software engineer and your crew, as you look at some of the tech going on in agents, it's growing super fast, organically from the community, as well as there's some top-down demand on the business side and all these areas that you guys are doing. Are there things that you're comfortable with, like things around MCP, A to A? Is the tech, what's baked, or what's stable, I should say? What, in your mind, for folks that are building out right now and want to jump into the fray, what's your view on this? And by the way, it's okay to have stuff continue to evolve, but you don't want to run mission critical stuff on half-baked protocols.
I mean, for us, we're so incredibly process and workflow centric as a business that we apply the same thing into our company and how we operate. Some of, like my workflow, right, relies upon a bunch of different data. And so I absolutely, have systems set up that are getting context from the right different systems that I need. That's working. It's working quite well, and it's absolutely helping, my workflows that are.
So the data quality, you mean?
The data quality is really, really good, and we're actually able to learn something. I'm in every Slack channel, every deal channel. It's a little bit insane, but I can actually now find really good insights now through what's happening, where deals are moving and where they're not and whatnot. So that I've been really, really impressed by. But more than that, really, it's just bottlenecks in workflows. And you look at our SDRs, or folks that are working to bring business into the company. There's so much work that they do that if you set up a process that takes the hardest or the longest part, like doing deep research on accounts, and systematize it, it's a little bit less hey, how good is this model in a reactive way, and more how can we structure a process so that they wake up and every day at 8 a.m., the companies they're going to call, they understand deeply what they're struggling with.
All right, so what's your view of the agent conference coming up in May? We're doing a little preview there. It's grown significantly, as I mentioned at the top. I mean, there's a small event. Simon had a small community event. Now it's getting bigger. Overhyped, legit, feel good?
We used to have a rule where you wouldn't be allowed to say AI at our company. You certainly weren't allowed to say agentic AI. This was just a year and a half ago, because there's so much hype, so much overblown, and we said we want to talk about the models, we want to talk about how we're providing context to these models, we want to talk about the rule sets that those models are abiding by. The reality is, though, we're in a place where more than half of the code at fast-moving software companies is being generated by agents that are operating in a manner where you're able to dispatch them on some of these smaller pull requests, some of these smaller bug fixes that you need, and they're coming back. So honestly, in a weird way, I can't believe it when Dario a year ago said that 100% of all code. I thought that was the most overblown, ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. Yeah. But when you look at
it seemed over the top for sure.
100%. But I look at 80% of small bug fixes being assisted or being generated by AI on our side. You think, man, okay, this is actually going where a lot of folks have said it is.
I mean, the trust has to be there, as you were talking about earlier. Talk about the trust equation, delegation, trust. I mean, APIs were great. Hey, connect to an API, but now you have interactions, you have state, you have all kinds of things happening with agents. And that's a CS problem right there. It's a data problem, it's a state problem, trust.
Pretty much all software was predicated on, ones and zeros. This is either going to happen or it's not going to happen, and if this logic gate doesn't hit, it's going to go this down this fork. When you're dealing with probabilities, everything gets sort of thrown to the wind. And when we qualify a patient and say, yes, they do in fact qualify for an imaging appointment based on their payer guidelines and based on their history, it's more like an ancient art, right? And you do want, if Tennr thinks, hey, we don't think this patient qualifies, you're going to have to call them and say, they're missing records. We're going to have a human on their side, part of using the software, to be able to check and be able to validate that. And we're seeing that the amount of human-in-the-loop validations is coming down dramatically, but I still think for the next couple of years, software that's really leveraging this technology has to have human-in-the-loop fallbacks, edge case reviews. It's been table stakes. It's why we've been able to do what we've done.
It's classic. Just look at the distribution of the outcomes. If you look at the probability, you can knock down with autonomy, with agents, the ones that clearly hurdle the requirements.
100%.
But then there's going to be okay, where's that scan? Or that's a human.
Oh, 100%. And it's like turning doers into reviewers, and you just give them so much leverage, right? A lot of folks spend so much time calling payers. They have to call, check on the insurance. We realized, hey, you can just automate that call automatically, but pull in a transcript and the human can just double check the answers that the payers gave and keep them going. All
right, Trey, talk about the company, put a plug in. What are you working on? You guys are hiring. What's your focus area? What's your major to-do right now?
The biggest thing is that we are a network business. Okay, so we're across so many important specialties in the country. I think we are solving an incredible problem for some of the most important healthcare institutions in the country, and so obviously if you work at a provider that's struggling with 2-month plus backlogs, patients trying to get into gastro or neuro or cardio or whatever it is, just know that frankly there's incredible solutions out there like ours that have been built to solve those problems, get patients in, and get seen.
We really appreciate what you're doing. We all have seen it and we've lived it. I've personally seen it firsthand. Everyone that I know has lived this. Getting the referral, wait times, 10 weeks from Sunday, maybe you can see someone, like, it's like the worst.
It's a real problem. It's like a real problem. And like the thing that we always come back to is like, you know what, we do whatever. The business is thankfully growing like crazy, but even if it weren't, we're solving a real problem and we're just proud of that.
And it's not just time, it's like the time also, if they have a condition, could get worse. There's just on the human care side, the consequences are significant and can be quantified.
The amount of GI appointments that are dropped that would have found early detected colon cancer screening are mind-blowing statistics, and this is true across all of our specialties. You got to get patients in the door. You got to get care. We have a big healthcare problem in this country, and one of the biggest issues is that we can solve a lot of these problems if we catch them early, and folks aren't able.
Well,
to
Trey, good job. We appreciate you coming on theCUBE. Thanks a lot.
I really appreciate you having me. Thanks, John.
All right, healthcare is one of the hottest areas, mainly because they have so much data. It's structured data, unstructured data, but that's where the action is. AI can make a big difference, and we're seeing that vertical specifically with AI light up, and a lot of great value being created. We're doing our part, bringing that to you here. Thanks for watching.